Greetings, what's up, everybody? How are you? It's been a hot minute since I've been on here with a little D-Live bootleg segment, not planned, just kind of riffing on a topic. And so I got a lot of feedback. Hey, love your videos. So here we are with a video. And I thought this was pretty relevant at this moment to talk about. And so Tuesday's 420, I think, as most people probably know, it's like the cannabis holiday these days, I guess, if you want to call it that. Maybe somebody can correct me on this. I've heard some, basically old wives' tales how it started. There were some high school kids in California that, met after school, and that's what time they met, at 420 or something like that. Or it's 5 o'clock somewhere. It's always 420 somewhere. But whatever the case may be, that date is Tuesday. And I think, most of you know, probably watching this, I was a police officer for 26 years. And so over time, my thoughts and just kind of my thought processes around legalizing certainly changed in that time. And as we see our country as a whole, in the state of Ohio, where things tend to move very slowly, we now have medical marijuana. And I don't know if anybody's watching this on the coast, they tend to say cannabis. In the Midwest, for whatever reason, I think we tend to say marijuana, but I use the terms interchangeably. But anyway, there's three specific reasons, I think, especially as it pertains to a city council campaign here in Cincinnati, why we need to support this. And some of them are very timely and relevant. And I would like to share, especially with my experience and background in policing, really all the negative outcomes that have come out of prohibition, much like came out of prohibition in the 30s when we tried it with alcohol. It was an epic failure, created a lot of violence, it criminalized people that were law-abiding citizens, and we saw those outcomes, but yet we continue to do this. I mean, at the bottom line is the war on drugs has been an epic failure. It's been very expensive, not only in our collective pocketbooks of the taxpayers, but very expensive in like literally in people's lives, and particularly with brown and black communities of color. It's just been terrible. It's been just a terrible social experiment, if you will, and it's time that we just move on, really, in nationally, but to the degree that we can in Ohio, and here locally. So three things I want to touch on. First, it's fiscally responsible. So, we spend so much, especially public safety resources, on going after, really I'm focusing on marijuana, but maybe some of this applies to other drugs as well. But it's costly. We know we have a private prison industry that thrives on this. And so there are big systemic kind of forces that want to keep this kind of pipeline. At the end of the day, it's the almighty dollar, right? And I saw it in my career with opiates in the opiate crisis. How if the drug companies are making billions and billions and billions of dollars of pushing this poison into our communities, it really played a role in ending my police career, because the door that I kicked in that I ended up blowing my knee out was two heroin addicts, with the wife trying to kill the husband. And ultimately that ended my career. And so I would see the impacts of this starting in, especially the late 2000s in the opiate crisis. And why is it, we can get people hooked on this that have legitimate pain issues, but it's illegal for marijuana, right? And without all these addictive properties and all of these bad outcomes. So that's first and foremost. And then obviously, if you have a legalized program, there's tax revenues that are generated out of that. We have that data from other places that are doing it. It's just very much of a no-brainer just on that level. Secondly, it's a right, as I kind of mentioned, it's a chance to work to right past wrongs. It's just had terrible outcome on minority communities. And I think we still see some of the disparate and disparate statistics today and around arrests and those types of things. At the end of the day, we've seen that scenario play out where having air fresheners in your car, to the police trained. I've been through the training, drug interdiction school, they call it. And so they train you to look for certain indicators. One of those is an excess of air fresheners, because people have that to hide the odor. Odor of what? Marijuana is the one drug that that really puts out an odor. So the next part of that training is when you see these indicators that indicate narcotics or drugs are around, be aware that guns typically go with that. So now the cops are on edge just from seeing air fresheners, as benign as they might be on their face. And so you have a scenario where the car gets pulled over, there's air fresheners, the cops are on edge, and something goes wrong in this chain of events. The way to solve the problem is to get to the root of it. If this wasn't illegal, you wouldn't need air fresheners to cover it up. And it stops this whole bad chain of events that have bad outcomes that sometimes sadly happen out of traffic stops. And there's other things. There's training. I'm not saying this is the end all cure all. Training, all of these kind of things, better hiring practices that we need to do. But at the end of the day, it just takes all of that out of the equation. And finally, it's an opportunity for a chance for economic opportunity. I think we need to be clear that it's not just, and it's kind of crazy to see somebody like a John Boehner getting into the cannabis industry, somebody that was on the right and opposing that, and now there's money to be made, and so that's where it's at. There's now publicly traded companies. You can buy marijuana-related stocks and exchange-traded funds on the New York Stock Exchange. So there needs to be, especially at the local level, retail level, there needs to be opportunity for smaller people and especially for minority-owned businesses and others. These communities that have been so negatively impacted by this need to be able to share in the outcomes, that it just doesn't go the corporate route, rich old white guys, whatever the case may be. So we need to really look at that. So with that being said, this is going to be part of our criminal justice reform platform. I'm rolling out a number of robust policy pieces. The first one around housing affordability is up now on our website, derekbauman.com, and click on the policy link. There will be more, but I just thought this was relevant with the things that are going on in the country today, and also with Tuesday, 420 being an event. It's just not something I'm going to shy away from, and I think we need to see leadership on it. And they're just too many. There's probably a million more reasons that we could all list as to why it's just a good idea. It does not make sense to continue to prohibit something that is just not that dangerous or dangerous at all. And while we still allow drug companies to make billions and billions and billions of dollars off of prescription drugs that are just fine. So there's a lot of things to start looking at around employment law. It's illegal, but you can still get fired from your job for it when we know that it stays in your bloodstream for 30 days. Now, if you come to work under the influence, that's a whole different story. Whatever it might be. But today, you don't get fired if you have Percocets in your bloodstream. But you might for cannabis, and that makes absolutely no sense. So those are three things: fiscally responsible, chance to right past wrongs, and an opportunity for economic opportunity that we need to stay focused, that small operators, people of color, have the opportunity to get engaged in this. So I'm happy to talk about this more. We're going to talk about it more. And as you can see, hashtag legalize, it's the hashtag that I've been using. We actually have this merch up on the merch store right now, derekbauman.com/merch, and amazing design from our union shop, Union Strong shirts. So you can pick up one of these if you want to rock it out. But at the end of the day, it's the right thing to do. It's taken too long. There's only so much that we can do from the city, local level, but advocacy is a big part of that. And so I think we all need to continue to advocate for this nationally here in the state of Ohio for all the reasons and more. So with that, I'm going to let you go. It's a beautiful sunny Sunday here in Cincinnati, but I want to be very clear, hashtag legalize it. That's where I stand on this issue. And having seen in my career the negative outcomes that have come out of this, I understand it. And at the end of the day, it just makes sense. So spread the word on that. Pick up a shirt if you want. There's going to be more stuff coming out. I actually toured one of our new licensed grow facilities here in Ohio that is supplying product for medical marijuana here in Ohio, and very interesting, great learning experience. And I did that on Friday. I'm going to be sharing some more of that story and some photos and different things. And hopefully we can get to the point where we have full legalization, and people aren't going to jail for this, and we take away the black market, and all of the other things that we just talked about. So Eric, what's up, man? I appreciate you stopping by, dropping a comment. Let me, I can put some of this up here. Eric says, absolutely no reason to continue, safer than all of those things. Yeah, man, I appreciate that. I appreciate your support. Of course, if anybody wants to go on the website, pick up a shirt or drop a contribution, that would be much appreciated. If you want to have somebody who was a cop for 26 years out here leading and talking about this issue, and certainly not shying away from it. Beto, what's up, man? Exemption of super potent strains. Yeah, I mean, we're open to, I'm certainly open to, I'm just talking in generalities here, and controlled by doctors. I think that's where we're at right now. But we see more and more states are going to recreational. Michigan just did. And, you know, I think you see, as with most things, like the casinos and gambling, right? Now we're talking about sports betting. And it just takes a while for it to get here and for people to get comfortable with the concept. You know, in the Midwest, so we're like behind where they are on the coast. But now Pennsylvania looks like they're moving towards recreational. Michigan already has. And at the end of the day, I think it's going to happen. It's a matter of time. We need to expedite it because we're still having negative outcomes. So yeah, anybody else, if you want to drop a comment real quick, I'm not going to string this out, but certainly appreciate it. Or if you guys want to DM me, hit me up at Derek Ballman, whatever. You probably have my number, email. Happy to discuss this topic, but it's something we're going to be talking about more and more in the coming days, and realize that this is part of a greater kind of platform plan that we're going to be rolling out around criminal justice reform at some point. So that's all I got for today. And yeah, appreciate it out. I appreciate it. I'm going to get out where it's nice and sunny, and we'll talk to you all later. But hashtag legalize it, and we'll go from there. Do all I can. We're going to fight for what's right, and this is one of those things that's very important. All right, peace, everybody. Have a good one. Be safe.